Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, we're going to talk about NXT Kross versus Balor Part 2. We're going to talk about a little Raw and SmackDown. Is Roman Reigns actually going to cockblock the Usos' return to getting back together? Clearly not, but we're going to find out what happens anyway. We're going to see if we can get a decent Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley match. We're going to talk a little AEW and throw out some predictions. That and a whole bunch more this week on the Banned from Ringside podcast. Not bad for take two, if I do say so myself.
It was much better.
I didn't die. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel live. Hello, Marks, and welcome to another edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast. I'm your special guest host, Jason Cornelius Bell, JCB, a.k.a. It's not kayfabe. I just crush a lot. And over there in Edwardsville, Illinois, talk to me, my boy, Two Beer Zach Pullman. What's going on, Daddy-O?
Oh, man, it is raining like the son of a bitch here. So, just a rainy day, and I'm in my basement. Not right now, I'm in my garage, but I've been in my basement all day getting ready for this move. I just realized I'm probably not going to be on the podcast for a couple weeks, so here in a couple weeks.
I was about to say, if you know who was here, he'd probably say something smart about that, but I'm going to say, we'll miss you.
But he's not on the podcast.
Yeah, he's not on the podcast, so those who are just now catching on to that, Bill is a little MIA this week. We might get him for predictions. We might not. He has in-laws coming in for the weekend, so he's going to have to deal with the in-laws and all that other good stuff. But never fear. The two-man crew is here. Two Beer and I are going to handle some business. We're going to talk a little wrestling, get your mind off of whatever ails you for this week. Anything you want to?
He might have in-laws in. I think it's a good cover for like a colonoscopy or something. He's getting up there.
No, he's just big timing us. Like I said, he don't want to talk about all the rigmarole. He just wants to jump into the fun part and jump in on the predictions. But that's okay. You know,
I almost made fun of him for that, but I've done it before.
Being the boss, you know, he can big time like that, so that's not a problem whatsoever. So, like I said, hopefully we'll get him on the prediction segment. If not, I do have something in the back pocket that neither Two Beer or Bill knows about. So, either way, we're going to have a surprise on the prediction part of the program, but we'll get to that in 30 seconds. No sponsor. Well, actually, take that back. We do have sponsors this week, even though your boy dropped the ball last week. I'll carry it for him this week. Sponsorship this week, of course, it's Bill's Beer Company. Support your boy. We talk about supporting local businesses, local drug dealers, local restaurants, all that good stuff. So here is your chance to support this man as he's getting ready to start bringing in a new life into this world. Okay, so those of us that have kids, I unfortunately don't, but I have two cats, so I can kind of feel you on this. Those of you that have kids know that is an extra expense that's getting ready to happen. That's an extra living life that's getting ready to be in your possession. Help your boy out. Not me. Help your other boy out. Help Bill out. Slide into his DMs. Get you some beer, not beer bombs, but bath bombs, all that other good stuff. I don't know what exactly selling because, hey, I don't use that stuff. I'm a masculine man, baby. You know, I'm like that Chuck Norris. I don't need, you know, manis and petties to look good and smell good.
Tell you what, that beard oil is great. It turns me into like from Ted Kaczynski into like fucking Drew McIntyre. Good shit.
Okay, see, there you go. Testimonial for somebody that has used it. Slide into Bill's DM, slide into BFR Pie's DMs. If you are interested, he will ship it to you anywhere, any place, anytime in the continental United States or even across the globe. Now, that being said,
the average cost to raise a child in the United States from age 1 to 17 is $233,000. So as many bath bombs and beard oils as you can buy would help Bill and Aaron.
Damn. And that just, I'm so glad I don't have kids. Let's get to our 3 counts. 1, 2, 3. Two Beer, kick us off. What's the 1 count?
1 count. We have an NXT show that for the first time since they moved to Tuesdays, I remembered to watch on a Tuesday. So I didn't have to watch the abbreviated Hulu version because I had so much going on. I sat down Tuesday, watched the show, and it was a pretty good show. really the big thing was the main event. We can kind of run down the show, but I feel like we should probably talk about the main event first.
No, I got notes like Bill Vega. If I'm going to be the host, I'm going to at least bring some notes, baby. So I got that part. So go ahead and talk about what you think is obviously Balor versus Kross. What did you think?
I thought this was a really good match. These guys really brought it on like a main event level for a television match. I mean, this was, kind of, I don't know about takeover level. I mean, they had like that nice build up. But I think that Finn Balor did a really good job of making this match great and making Karrion Kross look like a monster. They did a lot of spots where Finn would unleash a bunch of offense and Karrion wouldn't no-sell it, but he'd kind of like power through it and scream, like do that Ishii thing, get up and yell before he blasted out the major offense of his own. Finn Balor did that a couple times. They were kind of trading each other's moves and trading back and forth on no-selling offense. They both did ground and pounds, going from arm bars to the triangle to the one-arm triangle power bomb. This is just a really fun, main event. And they did an overrun, which was weird. At least I felt like there was an overrun, or my feed was behind, or like whatever. But it was like a 7-8 minute overrun. And Karrion Kross goes over and puts Finn Balor to sleep. So decisive finish. And, obviously they're running with Karrion Kross for a while. So I think, big picture kind of thing I want to talk about. The reason I bring up the Finn Balor Karrion Kross is the big picture situation for NXT, right? NXT, not so much as New Japan right now because all their problems, as we can talk about, but NXT kind of feels like a colder product right now. I don't want to say stale because that seems a little harsh, but NXT used to be the promotion where you always had new guys and gals entering, and it was kind of a feeder system for the main roster. And since they were put up against AEW, we don't really see that as much. We got guys hanging out down there that, are not necessarily spring chickens. Guys, like Finn Balor, like, we know why he went down there. It was because USA wanted a big star, maybe Vince wanted a big star to put up against AEW,
sure.
And he performed admirably. But now it's kind of like with Finn Balor, let's bring him back up, if you want to use that language, right? Up, down, whatever.
Right. That is the rumor that Raw has been wanting Finn Balor for quite some time, and for whatever reason, NXT, let's just say Hunter, denied said request. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you got like these guys that you've seen for a long time, and what are they going to do, right? Like Adam Cole, like dude had the most phenomenal championship run in NXT history, and he's kind of in limbo. What are they going to do with him? Even if you put him back in the title picture, he's going to perform. But we've seen that, and you have these guys that have just been kind of hanging out for a long time. Like we have a setup for a 3-way for next week, which is going to be a great match. Johnny Gargano, Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, right?
Who you got?
Johnny Gargano, we know he ain't going anywhere. Last thing that he did was lose clean to his North American Championship, and now he's getting a shot at the NXT title, but that's because he's Johnny Gargano.
True.
And they want to put these great matches on. Pete Dunne, same kind of thing. Like, he's been around for a long time, and is he ever going to move up? And a lot of people say, we don't want him to. We want him to stay down, have great matches. But, for these guys' salaries and for the future of their careers and stuff, it's Kyle O'Reilly. He's given us some great main events and stuff. Are they going to put him in a position to be that top guy? Like, I don't really see it. Like we had a Bobby Fish match. Bobby Fish is in his 40s. You know what I mean? Like,
but he and Pete Dunne, I thought, had a really good match.
Oh yeah, totally. That was an awesome match. But it's just like, the reason I say all this is because we're bringing in some new blood, but even like the new blood that we're bringing in is not necessarily young up and comers, right? It's not the Kurt Stallions and such. We're bringing in the Eli Drakes or the LA Knights.
Right.
Even Bronson Reed, which is getting a deservedly good push, like I mentioned last week, 14 years was part of the story.
Right.
So I don't know kind of what it needs. I don't know if NXT needs to get out of that CWC. I don't know what it is, but the product, it just feels a little bit colder, not as hot, not as exciting, even though we're still getting some good matches. So,
okay. First things first, I agree with you. The match I thought was really, really good. It made Karrion Kross feel like the monster that I think we've been kind of waiting for him to be to a certain degree. Finn Balor being the smaller wrestler in that scenario, I think, made his moveset feel like it, it hurt a little more. Each Saito suplex, felt a little more impactful. You know what I'm saying? So in that case, I totally agree with you. Kross is the guy that needs to be the champion moving forward. Finn Balor, I'm not sure if this is his goodbye on NXT or not. It kind of feels like it is. I think we've gotten back to the point with Finn is what else can he really do on this brand? An Adam Cole rivalry, a feud of some sort. I mean, that's about it. I don't necessarily want him to be a tag team champion per se, because the tag team division in NXT isn't exactly great. It's good. You got 3 or 4 really good teams that are the foundation of the division, but you don't have much after that. The North American title at this point kind of seems like a step back. So it almost feels like that, Finn Balor's next move after, reestablishing Kross as a dominant kind of monster champion is to kind of move up to the main roster. I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that because, like I said, just, sitting here kind of, thinking about it aloud, it makes sense. Okay. You can,
and they're going back on the road, and there's really not much better at a WWE show than Finn Balor's entrance.
No, I agree with that totally. And that, whether you put him on Raw or SmackDown, I kind of lean towards SmackDown because, selfishly, I would like to see Finn Balor, Roman Reigns, but that's just me.
For that title that he never actually lost.
Yeah. I think the story just kind of writes itself at that point. Just to touch on the staleness of NXT, I don't necessarily would call it stale, but I do think they miss Full Sail a lot. I think Full Sail helped make good matches great. I think especially with takeovers always felt like, special. It was a must-see TV kind of a thing where, you needed to be, in front of the TV when it started, or you needed to stay off social media until you got home and you watched it yourself. Obviously with the, things starting to open back up throughout the United States, NXT does have a chance to kind of, build on that momentum. I don't necessarily think, and this is just me personally, I don't think that NXT is done poorly. I just think that the CWC has a ceiling, and you can only make a match feel so great to a certain point. You know what I'm saying? Full Sail would have had Balor versus Kross to, going through the roof, going absolutely bonkers. I mean, don't get me wrong, the crowd was into it, but it just felt like this was the Thunderdome, and I kind of, expressed my feelings on the Thunderdome. I'm going to go over that too. I'll be glad when, WWE goes on the road because I want to see these organic reactions to, Roman Reigns, Cesaro, guys that, feel like they need, in Cesaro's case, I don't think they need that push, but I want to see how crowds react to him as this,
we can see who's actually over versus who they decide is going to be over by
exactly.
pushing a button.
Roman Reigns.
And I feel like we're going to get less confusion about these talks about who's heel, who's face, because, again, we had, Raquel Gonzalez doing, mega heel shit, and it's just, I thought she was, kind of playing up the babyface thing lately. It's just, I think with crowds, that confusion lessens because they're not making the decision and flip-flopping as much.
No, for sure. And I was just going to say, and we can really dive into NXT in 30 seconds, just the Roman Reigns thing. Look, well stated on this podcast, not a Roman Reigns guy until this run. And you piping in, crowd noises of booing and Roman sucks and shit like that. Don't get me wrong. A, you're supposed to boo the heels, so, give you credit for that. But B, you ain't got to pipe that shit in for me. Okay, I know at my age, I know who's the bad guy at this point. Okay, you don't have to reinforce it for me. Maybe for the kids, okay, maybe that's why you have that Thunderdome experience. So, the little kids need to make sure that Roman Reigns is the bad guy here, even though he might look cool. He's doing, bad things. I don't need that, man. I'm at the point where like I said, I'm really counting the days down until they get back on the road, especially, live SmackDown and Raw events where the crowd will be able to determine who's over, who's not over. Is Alexa Bliss this thing, or is she just not this thing? Because for me, like I said, this is another time where my age shows up. Alexa Bliss isn't the thing, but we can discuss that here in a little bit. Just going back to NXT, to open the show, you did have Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai facing Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon. It felt like a de facto number one contenders match for the NXT tag team titles. Shotzi and Ember did go over, but then, like Two Beer said, post-match, Raquel Gonzalez just goes ape shit and destroys fucking anyone and everyone in her path, namely Shotzi Blackheart just getting worked over left and right. So I guess here's the question. Are we getting a Shotzi Raquel Gonzalez match, or are they going to go strictly with the tag team angles and then maybe have Dakota Kai get turned on by Raquel Gonzalez? That's my guess, is that Raquel Gonzalez ultimately turns on Dakota Kai. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think eventually that is the play, especially because that's kind of what they do, is break up teams and stuff. And they've been together for a while, and it would be a total heel move because Dakota is partly responsible for Raquel's success. At first I thought Ember and Shotzi, I thought it was like kind of not denigrating, but kind of moving Ember a step back to put her just in tag teams. But they're really high on Shotzi, and I think whenever crowds come back, they'll also be very high on Shotzi. And I could see Shotzi in chase mode against Raquel being a very interesting program. So, if it was me with the kind of reactions that I think Shotzi could get.
Yeah, book the territory, motherfucker.
What's that? Oh, yeah. But,
no, go ahead and book it. What if you had the pencil, what would you do?
Oh, yeah, I would, if you're moving fans back in, I would, have a program with Shotzi and Raquel, obviously not going over right away, just put her in chase mode, let Raquel get some heat, and, maybe keep doing post-match beatdowns or having Dakota, helping her out. Maybe Dakota fucks up one and she loses a non-title match, because the interference backfires and it leads to the split. But Shotzi Blackheart is going to be, I think, the face and the star of that women's division sooner rather than later, for sure.
No, I agree. I think right now Shotzi is in that kind of gray area where they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with Frankie Monet. Obviously Raquel Gonzalez is the champion. Mercedes Martinez.
That's another one, Frankie Monet, which we can talk about. But yeah, she's coming in, but I've been watching Frankie Monet wrestle forever, right? She's not new. It's cool to see her, kind of get a bigger stage and stuff, but it's just kind of more of the same. You're bringing in these long-time indie and or not just indie, but Impact and such. It's not a new hot up-and-comer, right?
Right. No, I was going to say, just touching on Frankie Monet for 30 seconds. I wasn't going to jump there, but we can jump there for a little bit. Obviously, Frankie Monet had her debut match on NXT on Tuesday night. Total squash. I can't even think of the poor girl's name who she
Cora Jade, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Cora Jade. Okay, for me, obviously, because, I have no life. I watch a ton of wrestling. I know who I wanted to call her Tyra Valkyrie, but
I know every time.
Yeah, in this case, it's Frankie Monet. I'm very familiar with her work, not so much with her AAA work, but obviously the things that she's done in Impact. I thought that was, amazing. She was my Wrestler of the Year 2 years ago, Women's Wrestler of the Year 2 years ago. this isn't too far removed from the character we saw on Impact, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. But I will say, I will push back on at least Frankie Monet for a little bit. You'll be surprised who doesn't know who Frankie Monet is. I guess I'll reverse that. There's people that don't know who Frankie Monet is. I guess better choice of words. And that just is, a product of just being WWE heavy main roster. It's Raw and SmackDown. You might watch a little NXT, and that's really about it. So to a certain degree, you do have to kind of introduce who Frankie Monet is to a certain degree. Now, like I said, for me personally, to me, it's no different than who she was on Impact, pomegranate dog and all. So, I mean, in that scenario, this is not too far of a stretch. And like I said, for me, it works. You know what I'm saying? I liked her in Impact. I think she'll do well in NXT. It's just now, she's coming into a division that, kind of in transition, but it's still loaded with a bunch of talent. I loved her entrance, by the way. It was like one of the first times I felt like she had a really, like you said, a big time stage to do an entrance like that made her feel like really fucking special.
It was like a star
Right.
entrance, and that is one thing that they do really well at the Performance Center is teach you how to be on TV.
Yeah, where they zoomed it back or whatever, and they had like her name on the billboard or whatever, and she was kind of like hanging from the rope or whatever. That's when I was like, okay, this is where people always say like the NXT or WWE in general is the major leagues, and you always want to be there. That scene right there, I was like, okay, I get it. It may not be for me, but I totally get why other people say that.
Yeah, totally. And maybe she should be on the main roster. Maybe Toni Storm should be on the main roster. That's just kind of more of the same, and hopefully they're able to kind of cycle through and we see some of these young bucks, not the actual young bucks, but
Right,
we see some of
that's
these young bucks.
Man, if the Young Bucks came on NXT, you might have a goddamn heart attack.
Yeah, like I'm not expecting to see Simone Johnson anytime soon. She's there, and there's a lot of like guys and gals that are great athletes that have been there, for a couple of years and stuff. It's not like they're hurting for talent, even
Not
with
at all.
like the releases and stuff. So,
you
but yeah,
bringing up new shit already. Come on now, I was about to say we got a whole show to get through before we talk about people getting released again.
we're gonna rename the odds and ends portion of the show Future Endeavors.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll go odds and ends, future endeavors, birthdays. I shouldn't laugh. That is totally not funny. All right, let me get back on track. Ciampa and Thatcher had a pretty good promo calling out GYV. I love how Ciampa pushes the chair back and walks away from it. Not a huge fan of the tag team itself. That's just me personally. I'd rather see them as singles, individuals versus being the tag team. But like I was just kind of saying, the tag team division isn't necessarily that great on NXT. Thoughts on the?
It's funny. I have the complete opposite reaction. Like
Really?
I don't like the jump throwing the chair thing. Like the first time it was pretty neat, but now I'm just like, when's he gonna throw the chair? Like when I'm just kind of waiting for it and watching.
It's almost like his catchphrase.
Yeah, I did really like Thatcher like picking up like where he left off and was like giving that toothless smile. It's like, I'm gonna break your bones, and then smiling and then scowling and then doing his own thing where he throws the chair. But I really like these guys as a tag team because they're just the two meanest, toughest old bastards. They're just like mean old bastards.
Right.
They're not old, but same thing. Ciampa looks like he's fucking 10 years older than he actually is.
Dude, he is such a good shape. It's ridiculous. Puts me to fucking shame. I was about to say, what makes me want to not eat 2 triple cheeseburgers every day. Jesus Christ.
Oh, I'm on that triple cheese grind too. $2.29. How can you not be?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say it's hard not to get 2. Just put 1 on deck for later on. Bobby Fish, Pete Dunne, we talked about that. Pete Dunne goes over in a nice technical match. It was longer than I anticipated. Bobby Fish kind of looked healthy for a little bit. Fingers crossed he can keep that momentum going forward. Only Lorcan attacking Bobby Fish post-match, helping Pete Dunne, put some more wear and tear on the previously surgically repaired tricep of Bobby Fish. But my biggest takeaway from that segment was no Kyle O'Reilly. What do you take away from the fact that Kyle O'Reilly does not come out to make the save for Bobby Fish?
Yeah, I kind of expected it, but at the same time, they're probably, just playing into this kind of larger story. Like, if these guys are all going to stay down there, or even if they're not, right? Of course, you could do the thing where you could forget about the entire storyline in NXT and then just bring them up to the main roster as Undisputed Era, which they are totally capable of doing, right? Remember, like, Ciampa and Gargano had just gotten over, like, one of the best feuds in wrestling history, and they brought them up as a tag team, like, around that Survivor Series time, like, on Raw and stuff, and you're just like, they kind of had to, like, work it backwards in NXT to explain it.
Right.
And it's the same kind of thing that they would do to Cornette whenever he was doing OVW. Like, they would call up guys and fuck with his storylines, and he would have to, and that wasn't even, like, on national television.
True story. No, I was getting ready to say, it sounds like some New Japan shit to me.
Yeah, so they could totally end up doing something like that. Because, I mean, long term, that would be cool because they are such a hot act. Kind of like the whole thing with AEW to compare, the Elite, right? All of this dissension in the Elite and, like, the heels turns and face turns, like, it is all building towards creating Adam Page as a much bigger star than he is. And they don't necessarily have, like, that younger guy to do that with, at least as young as Adam Page. I mean, you could do it with, O'Reilly, which they kind of have been, but, like, eventually you break up a team like that, and then it's like, okay, well, how are we going to get them back together because they're such a good act? So I could see that playing into that, and Adam Cole being gone. And I know it's still fresh. I'm not saying they need to do it next week. I'm just saying, like, if they're all going to be down there, it'd be kind of cool to continue this storyline of dissension, at least for a little while. Maybe not outright antagonism, but dissensions, and then whenever they do get together, it's that much more impactful. But yeah, this match ruled, and I mean, dude, like, this is the kind of stuff that we watch NXT for. Pete Dunne and Bobby Fish.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I was going to say, I really liked this match. It was a nice technical match, especially with the reminder of Bobby Fish being healthy. He was
also a good promo.
Yeah, yeah. But I was going to say, I had no problems with this all the way around. I thought it was a good promo coming into it. I thought the match was good.
It's funny. The kind of thing that we don't watch NXT for is now the kind of thing that I live for every week with Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase.
No, go ahead. Let's talk about it. What did you think?
I love this segment. Like, I mean, Cameron Grimes is just the absolute best. Like, he straight up, like, straight face, deadpan delivered that line where he said, Ted DiBiase, I looked up to you. You taught me that I could be the biggest asshole. And as long as I had money, it didn't matter. Everybody would like me.
I mean, you're right. He never broke a smile. I mean, it was dead fast. I mean, like, he really, really meant that shit. Like, that was deep in his heart type shit. I was like, Jesus Christ, this shit is great.
And you think that he's going to be, Ted DiBiase is going to be his manager or something, because he's like, kid, I see something. You and me, why you think I've been so hard on you? But then LA Knight comes out, Cameron Grimes turns his back like a dumb baby face and gets attacked, and DiBiase says, you'll never learn, haha, does his laugh. And so it looks like instead of, we got a little bit of a swerve, instead of a DiBiase Cameron Grimes duo, we have a DiBiase LA Knight duo, which, it's weird. I don't know that DiBiase needs to be a weekly segment outside of this fun Cameron Grimes thing. Like, LA Knight doesn't need anybody to talk for him, even though DiBiase can talk. So I don't know if it's just because they've got such a heavy, like, 50-plus audience, and they're just, like, working that nostalgia. Because even the picture of DiBiase was, like, picture of DiBiase from 30 years ago.
Right.
Like, the $1 Million Man, when he had the suit jacket with the dollar signs on it and stuff. It wasn't like a modern picture of DiBiase. So, and I mean, DiBiase's like a minister now. It's just like,
say, no, we're going to need you to come in on NXT here for a little bit.
Yeah, he's just like actually like the sweetest old man, and plays a great asshole on TV. But,
yeah, which is almost, it's so good it shouldn't be that way. Somebody that is genuinely that nice, and I've heard him in a couple of interviews or whatever. He's genuinely nice. someone
the whole
nice
reason
shouldn't be this evil on TV and be entertaining all in the same.
He almost like shouldn't even be in the wrestling business. It's like he was the only guy that Vince could actually trust with that bankroll to be the $1 Million Man, because everybody else would have just blown it on blow.
Man, true story.
But like if it comes down to like DiBiase, DiBiase was like whenever he was wrestling, you watch those like Mid-South stuff, like he was in the figure 4 leg lock, right? Or
right.
The spinning, the funk spinning toe hold, the figure 4 leg lock, and that would actually fit LA Knight's ring style really well. So like if he kind of made LA Knight like kind of like a throwback, because LA Knight doesn't need to wrestle like Wes Lee, he ain't wrestling like Wes Lee. So like if he can kind of be that throwback, and that's what they're doing, that could be kind of cool. But I don't know, we'll see.
I was thinking that this would be the introduction of the $1 Million title. There's been some rumors on Twitter leading up to Tuesday night that the $1 Million title was supposed to make a comeback, I guess, obviously to NXT TV. So when I saw this segment coming up, I was thinking, okay, this is where
LA Knight's the new ringmaster.
I wasn't going to go that far, but okay, maybe,
I do love that belt.
Okay, so ultimately, I'm thinking that we're going to have a Cameron Grimes LA Knight match. The winner becomes the new $1 Million champion.
Oh, that's actually really cool, because Cameron Grimes with that belt.
Right.
I mean, either way you do it, like, I think it would work, but I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, the way we're going with Cameron Grimes' character, it would almost make sense for him to be that $1 Million champion, and then, you can kind of move it along from there. I'm not saying that, this is the best use of him, but right now the comedic part is working, so I don't see a reason why we should get away from it just yet. The payoff, like I said, to me, if we're going to have the $1 Million title come back, that's the payoff, that he wins that title, and then you can go from there. My only other problem with this would be how we're kind of using LA Knight. Now, we came in, and you said it before, Bill has said it also, we came in with a lot of LA Knight hype and not a lot of substance behind this. So it's almost getting to the point where, we're going to need LA Knight to, get, at least in my mind, he's going to have to get a couple wins sooner or later to kind of, reestablish footing, because right now it just feels like he's helping getting other guys over versus him going over and moving up the ladder. Yeah,
totally. I mean, like I mentioned, Johnny Gargano in that three-way, like, I know that LA Knight is in this feud now, this program with Cameron Grimes, but that's the kind of person, as much as a Gargano fan I am, like, have somebody that's, been getting some wins be in the title picture instead of just giving us, like, the coolest match you can, which, by all means, thank you for giving us the coolest match that you can.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm not going to complain at all. But, like you said, a lot of heat, not a lot of follow-through. And I don't really necessarily think that's on him, because the little bit of a program they gave him before was like with Dexter Loomis, which is not going to go over. So I don't know. I don't even want to talk about the Dexter Loomis segment.
Well, shit, I do, because I think that shit's goddamn funny. I'll make it brief. Like I said, this is coming from the guy that doesn't like Dexter Loomis, but I think the way this is going down the line, where you have now Indy realizing that Candice is not on her side and broke up her and Dexter, now we're starting to see the ramifications thereof, where Dexter is all heartbroken and shit. That to me is the funny part, just somebody that's got his heart stomped on fairly recently, watching somebody else getting their heart stomped on makes me feel a little better about my own personal life. So that being said, this segment to me is funny. I like the fact that they're continuing down this storyline, but sooner or later I would want them to get back to being the focus at hand, and that's the tag team titles. Mercedes Martinez had a quick promo backstage reaffirming the fact that she is still not done with Raquel Gonzalez in the chase for the NXT title. But then a weird thing happened. You saw Boa stick his head out from beyond the background, which didn't make sense until later on, where Mercedes Martinez defeats Zayna Rainier. And then post-match, we see, I guess, Tia Shah come out and make the mark on Mercedes Martinez's hand. So are we getting a Xia Li Mercedes Martinez match? Two-beer? Question mark?
I guess that whole thing is, I like that animation thing they did a while back because of the production value of it, and it was cool. But I'm gonna need a lot more, like I said, substance. This is not why I watch NXT. It's very main roster type stuff, the magic and the shit like that. And, it was cool whenever I was a kid, and Papa Shango made Ultimate Warrior throw up and, stuff like that. But I'm not a kid anymore, neither is anybody in that audience. And I just need Xia Li to come out and just beat some motherfuckers down. That's really all I need, because she's a badass. Just have her be a badass.
I couldn't agree with you more. The whole reason that we went through that whole torture angle for weeks upon end is that the fact that, now she should come out of the other side and be this unstoppable ass kicking machine, and anybody in her path should be just getting that work. The problem with this is that they haven't gone down that path. They kind of left her off. All these women we're talking about on NXT, we didn't even talk about Xia Li until right now. She should be more, leading towards the charge of going after Raquel Gonzalez at this point. She should have came back, had a bunch of wins, some squash matches leading up to bigger wins, and then you could talk about, possibly having her going for the title. At this, like I said, I don't even know if this is a Xia Li match. Are we going to see, Tia Shah come out? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with the supernatural part of it. I'm a Star Wars guy, so I can't sit up here and say, talk down on that part of it. This shit doesn't make sense. Ultimately is my biggest problem with that. So take it for what it's worth. Hit Row had a good promo. I'm kind of getting on board with Hit Row. I'm not big fan of what's the big guy's name again?
It is Top Dollar.
Okay, not a big fan of Top Dollar. Everybody else is cool. Maybe Top Dollar will grow on me a little bit, but I do like the fact that the Hit Row is getting their own promos. Swerve is calling out NXT champions Karrion Kross and, well, we didn't know it was going to be Karrion Kross, but who are the winner of the main event that night, and Bronson Reed put them both on notice. Thoughts on the Hit Row promo?
Man, I love them. I like this promo a lot. I like Top Dollar. I really hope that his first name's William, so that he turns into Top Dollar Bill. But the promos are fun. The rhyming stuff. They got great looks. They got great vibes. Who's the gal?
She's just named B, I think.
Is she the one that was the basketball player, the WNBA player?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So I think she's a really good athlete, and she's got a great look, and she can talk. And I like how, Swerve's at the head, but he's kind of letting everybody else shine.
Yeah, for sure.
This is a lot of fun, and they're a highlight of the show for me now, and in the coming weeks, and they actually start doing stuff. I think it's going to be even better.
I couldn't agree more. God knows I love my factions, especially heel faction. Grizzled Young Veterans with the promo basically poo-pooing the fact that Ciampa and Thatcher are getting the tiebreaker match. They're looking forward to a match with MSK instead. I'll just say this. Zach Gibson, to me, if we had a top 5 of great heel promos, and I'm using the word great before that, Zach Gibson, for me, is on this list somewhere. I'm not saying he's number 1. I'm not saying he's 5, but he's somewhere on this list. Thoughts about the GYV promo?
Yeah, these dudes are talented. I think they're a great tag team, and, yeah, good promo. I think that given the opportunity, they could really help spice up this division because, it's kind of lacking. Like, I can't even tell you who the champions are right now. Who are the champions? MSK?
Circle gets the square. MSK are the tag team champions. Speaking of tag teams, we had the Imperium promo where Walter barking orders from across the pond. It sounds like we're going to get an Imperium. Well, I shouldn't say Imperium, but Patel and Archer versus Breezango. I kind of said it last week. I thought that this might be a scenario where we saw Breezango break up. This could be more towards that. Thoughts on a possible Eichner Bartel versus Breezango match?
I mean, he was mad because Breezango already beat him, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think it'd be kind of fun if they beat him again. But I mean, they're really good. They're really good wrestlers. Like, they're really good tag team. Something just needs to happen to kind of put a spark in this show and a couple of these divisions.
No, I agree with that.
And MSK is a perfect example. Young guys, like, really talented. They did put a spark in it with that Dusty Classic. That was really cool. But we need kind of more of that, and whether it's like young guys from the Performance Center or what have you, or, just letting some of these guys loose, because, like, it's weird. You see, like, Jake Atlas, who was, like, one of the hottest young prospects, right? Like,
right.
Him and Jungle Boy were coming up at the same time.
Right.
And they're, like, best buddies. And Jungle Boy goes to AEW. Dude's an absolute superstar. And it's not because his dad was Luke Perry. It's not because he's crazy good looking. But he connects with the fans really, really well, and he just goes out there and does what makes him Jungle Boy, whereas Jake Atlas, I feel like, doesn't do anything that used to make him Jake Atlas, right? Like,
right.
They're, like, teaching him how to work, and, like, you don't have to teach Jake Atlas how to work. They just do that, right? It's WWE, and Hunter even said, you come and you kind of learn our playbook, and
pretty much.
I don't think that is the recipe for success for a lot of these guys. I think people like Jake Atlas would have been better off. I know when your dream is to go to WWE and you get that offer, it's hard not to take it. But, like, imagine if Jake Atlas would have, gone to AEW or elsewhere and really became a star, and then you go to WWE making way more money. You're not making just like 50, 60 grand a year, whatever those guys make, which is, what I make. It's not like,
hey man, that's a nice little chunk of change, bro.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, for the wear and tear they're putting on their bodies and stuff, like, I don't know. It's just, I think it's that thing, and I think maybe Full Sail, like you said, it just kind of keeps coming back to these guys not doing the things that really could make them stars, but doing things that maybe might possibly, if the stars align and they work in this, cookie cutter paint by numbers situation, somebody might love that paint by numbers painting and pay a bunch of money for it. But, like, most of the time it's still a paint by numbers painting. It's just, I don't know. The Bob Ross originals are going to be way better than the one that I'm doing, sitting there trying to just emulate what he's doing.
No shit. And then finally, we had the Bronson Reed promo, basically his victory lap for defeating one Johnny Gargano. But then a little bit of a surprise, at least in this non-humble analyst opinion, Santos Escobar comes out to kind of feel like he's the first challenger to one Bronson Reed. Golgado del Fantasma came out with Santos Escobar. We had a little run-in with LDF and Bronson Reed with MSK making the save. Are you down with Santos versus Bronson Reed for the North American title?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a good match. Why not? Like,
does it? Well, the only reason I was asking it because just in kayfabe style, you have
his title.
Well, no, it's not even that. You just had Santos Escobar in the cruiserweight division being the more dominant cruiserweight we've had, let's just say, in the pandemic era. You know what I'm saying? So now, obviously, he's lost that, and now we're kind of, moving forward with him being a possible North American champion. I'm just not sure that this maybe not be the best first person for us as the fans. For Bronson Reed, it kind of is, because I don't suspect he would lose the title right away. So for Bronson Reed, it's probably best. But for me, it felt like it was a little weird because it was the former cruiserweight champion throwing his name in the ring first.
Yeah, no, I get that totally. I was just like thinking I don't want to say it's lazy, but it's kind of like, oh, we got Santos. What do we do with him? We want him on TV. Let's throw him at Bronson, right? Just kind of feed them to him. Which, if you're a big Santos Escobar fan, which I think he's talented, but if you want to see him elevated, this is not the place, because he's going to get squished.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm
not squashed, but he's going to get squished.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm kind of in agreement on you with this one. I would be totally stunned if Bronson Reed coughed it up just after winning the North American Championship. But they did take the titles off of was it Raquel and Dakota Kai the night of them winning it. So, I mean, weirder shit has happened, but, I just don't see that happening either. I like Santos Escobar, but like I said, this feels like a weird place to use them. And that being said, let's move on to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
All right, 2 count is going to be a little mixture of Raw and SmackDown, basic overall view of the main roster. I'm sure that between the two of us, I'm the only one that watched either or, correct?
Yeah, I didn't watch it. Just pay attention to the recaps.
Good, man. I say, God bless you. Let's jump to SmackDown first. To me, the biggest takeaway from SmackDown would be, at least for me, it was not even all things Seth Rollins, but just things Seth Rollins itself, where you had the attack on Cesaro in the Roman Reigns parade of champion, if you will, where Paul Heyman, god damn that dude, he is fucking goddamn gold. If you haven't seen either Paul Heyman segments where he basically runs down the champions in the opening segment, which I kind of thought was a little fucked up, but funny nonetheless, and then kind of recaps the Roman Reigns angle since his return back to WWE. If you haven't seen either one of those, I would suggest check those out once again. Kind of reinforces why I think Heyman is one of the best, if not the best in the business. But like
he's so good at getting people over. Like, that's why whenever he was in charge of Raw and we had like Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo and these guys that are almost non-existent now, whenever he saw talent and he was trying to get them over, and Paul Heyman knows how to get a guy over. Like,
I mean, if I would be lying if I said my interest in Roman Reigns hasn't increased dramatically since he's returned.
100%, yeah. And he doesn't like need him to talk, but he makes it that more menacing and badass because Roman doesn't talk as much. So when Roman does talk, it's like more impactful because he's got that, mouthpiece, and Heyman's so good at getting him over. So
yeah, and basically the whole point of this segment was, I was teaching my kids not to brag on themselves. So Paul, why don't you brag on me for me? So I mean that to me, I thought was brilliance into itself. Just coming back to Seth Rollins for a second, obviously he attacks Cesaro, but this is the second time where we've seen Seth and Roman Reigns kind of, in each other's personal space a little bit. Like my boys used to say, you in my bubble. You know what I'm saying? It's basically both guys are in each other's bubble. Obviously, first, I think we're going to get Seth versus Cesaro at Hell in a Cell. It just kind of makes sense, especially when Seth Rollins attacks Cesaro backstage. But kind of moving forward, do you think we're going to get Seth versus Roman Reigns at some point?
I think so. I think it's going to be more of like maybe at SummerSlam if they don't bring anybody big back or, set something up, just because they've been kind of hovering around each other. That's a story that almost kind of writes itself. You need some big contenders, and Seth's a really good big match guy. And I think that would work really well, even though I really don't like Seth's character right now at all. It's my least favorite, Actually, it's my second least because he's kind of done with the Messiah gimmick, but he's still kind of doing it.
Go a bit,
The Messiah thing, like, if you pay attention to any Messiahs, like, throughout history, or any, like, kind of cult leaders, the reason that they're so good at what they do is because they're very charismatic. And the Monday Night Messiah was not charismatic. It was monotone and boring. Like, who's going to follow that guy? Like, you know, if he overplayed it and was a little bit more overzealous about it, it would be a little more interesting. I just don't know if he has the personality, like, to do it. But yeah, I think so. I think it's impossible, especially considering they got big rosters, but you see like the same 8 people on both shows every time. I think it's impossible for them to not set this up when you got monthly pay-per-views.
No, I agree totally. I'm not sure when and where this is going to happen, but to me, the first time might have been, you know, you can call it just happenstance. The second time to me is now coincidence. Now we're getting to the point where we're teasing it. It's just how do we get there, I guess, is the ultimate question. Speaking of all things Roman Reigns, Jimmy and Jey Uso trying to get the band back together. At least Jimmy is. Jay's still a little hesitant. You know, I got to run this by Roman, even though Jimmy got them a tag match versus the Street Profits. That will be tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow is Friday. So tomorrow night you will have the Usos versus the Street Profits. I think I'll speak for myself on this one. I was kind of looking forward to this a while ago when unfortunately when Jimmy kind of got hurt. I thought this would be another match that would help to get the Street Profits over, but now I think to me it's more about the Usos than anything else. I'm more worried about, you know, how the Usos will interact versus who actually wins this match. Thoughts on the Usos versus Street Profits?
Yeah, I mean, on paper it's great, but like you said, the real story is the Usos. So Usos have always delivered very well in modern Hell in a Cell, and a part of that has to do with the New Day being their foil. But I think a Jimmy J Hell in a Cell would be an absolute banger, brother versus brother. You know, I think that is the direction that I would like to see it go.
And the more and more we talk about it, the more and more I would love to see that happen. I think that would be great, and it would give, you know, Roman kind of the night off, and, you know, kind of just have him just sit back and watch the brothers kind of fight over his loyalty and love, so to speak, like a true king should.
Yeah, because we're already going to have like a Raw title match in Hell in a Cell. So
Lashley.
We don't need a goddamn 6-hour Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, Lashley would get the winner of, I guess, Drew and Kofi. We'll talk about that in 30 seconds. Rest of SmackDown, okay. Nia and Shayna defeat Tamina and Natalya. Great way to utilize the newly crowned tag team champions, even though they did get it back on Monday night with a little Alexa Bliss help. But we'll talk about that in a second. Aleister Black, obviously he has his promo, but then he comes back later on in the night and attacks Big E in the main event. I guess this is a 2-part question. Number 1, do you have any idea what Aleister Black is talking about in his promos? And number 2, thoughts on Aleister Black versus a Big E?
I think that sounds like a fun match. I don't love like having 20-minute main events that end in DQ. I mean, that's very WWE main roster. Even if it is just to insert a guy like into a program, it's still kind of an annoying way.
Well, okay. In WWE's defense, this is a fatal 4-way, so I mean, it's basically no rules. So Aleister Black coming down and interfering does feel like usual WWE bullshit, but on the same aspect, there are no rules. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if they're actually going to do something with Aleister Black, I don't think that it, unless Big E is going to go for that main title, I don't think it's time to take that belt off of him, because I think he's like a good, like, dominant champion. Like, I want the best for Big E, and I think he's a big time guy. Like, I got so much respect for that dude. So I don't want to see him lose that championship unless he's going to be elevated. And I mean, you can use him to elevate a new star, even though Black's been on the main roster for like 2 fucking years. He's still relatively new to a lot of the audience. And we want to see him get more also. So, but I mean, if he's there to give him a good match and Big E goes over, that's cool. You know, like, well, like we always say, we'll see how it goes because half the time we just don't have any fucking idea. But you know, it is what it is. They kind of do these things all the time, and they're filling, you know, much more on the Raw side, filling time.
Right.
Because if you look at, like, when I read the recaps of Raw, like, the Raw show was, like, the fucking same show, but the other guy went over in the 50-50 booking. Like, it was, like, the same fucking show. Like, I mean, not even an exaggeration. Like, I'm not even being hard on it. I'm just, like, stating facts.
No,
like,
I was about to say, you ain't too far from the truth on that one. I would be lying if I said otherwise.
The other thing you mentioned, Alexa, like, that's annoying. We can get to Raw, like, the supernatural stuff. Like, you know, I'm a big fantasy fan. I read mostly fantasy. Big Star Wars guy. You know, science fiction, all that. And, you know, I like some of my wrestling too. But, you know, with Alexa, you've got Shayna Baszler being the one to, like, sell the supernatural stuff. Like, who's supposed to be, like, a legit shooter, you know? Like, have, like, Dana Brooke or Mandy Rose or somebody, like, sell this stuff, you know? Like, don't have, like, the shooter badass, like, having to, like, react to this fucking supernatural shit. Like, give it to, like, somebody else. Like, I just hate, like, there's people that out there that should just be destroying, like, Shayna should just be destroying bitches. That's her job. And Nia's big, and she should just be destroying bitches, because that's, well, she does, like, real life and in kayfabe. But,
no, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Trying to think. Shinsuke, Baron Corbin, not too interested, even though you had
Boogahagen.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the only redeeming quality from that. I can care less who's the king at that point. So we can jump to Monday night. Monday Night Raw, obviously, you had a couple of things going on here. For me, the biggest takeaway is Drew McIntyre versus Kofi Kingston. Babyface versus babyface is rare. You had Lashley interference, so we're going to have to run that back again next week. No interference from Bobby Lashley, or otherwise he's getting a fat-ass fine, and hopefully we get a winner out of that. If you had to pick it...
I love watching... I do watch some of these shows, and I oftentimes will watch the Drew McIntyre segments because, like, I swear to God, Drew McIntyre's just back there, and he fucking knows how much this shit sucks. And I just see him oiling his fucking chest up in the back. He's like, I'm going to fucking make this show good. And, like, he comes out, and whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes, he makes this fucking show good for the minutes that he's on TV. This is a fucking enjoyable show, like, every time. Like, Drew McIntyre is awesome.
Without question, I think, and I know people that don't like Drew McIntyre, and that's just, you know, wrestling subjective.
Who doesn't like Drew McIntyre?
There are people that don't like Drew McIntyre, and for that, you know, God bless you for it.
They got fucking IQs the size of their shoe size.
Okay, and more so to my point, I think Drew has really... I think history might not look upon him favorably when you stop and we look back at this pandemic era. I think Drew McIntyre and Bayley, men's and women's side, did an amazing job just to keep the boat afloat when you really, you know, apparently you always have, like, you know, Vince comes in and does these major script changes and all this other chaos. So you already have that chaos going on under normal circumstances. But now you're in a worldwide pandemic where you don't have fans. You're not sure where you're going to have these shows and all this other good stuff. To me, Drew McIntyre deserves all the flowers and then some for, like I said, just keeping that boat afloat, giving us good/great matches depending on who was across the ring from him. I personally don't necessarily want to see Drew McIntyre and Lashley again, but it kind of makes sense, especially with Hell in a Cell being the next pay-per-view. That, to me, sounds like a good time to have this feud blow off. Whoever wins, whether it's Lashley or Drew, I kind of want Lashley to win because I don't think that's the end of the story, but neither here nor there. Thoughts on Drew, Lashley, Kofi?
Yeah, I mean, inserting Kofi into this, you know you're going to get, good matches. And it's the same kind of thing where, I mean, we inserted Braun Strowman, and we didn't think that. We thought the opposite. Like, oh, this actually brings the match down, and we really got, like, a great match out of that. So I think it would be fun, just because we have seen Drew and Lashley. I think it would be really cool for Kofi to go over, have Kofi wrestle Lashley at Hell in a Cell. Whether it goes over or not is another thing, but at least he gets his rematch, and you're going to get a good match out of those guys. So I think that would be cool. That's
the only reason you stole my thunder. That's the only reason I would want to see Kofi win that match, is to get his at least a year plus rematch due from him losing to Brock Lesnar. It's probably more than that. I think we were still in Shock City when that nonsense went down. Asuka beats Charlotte. Oh, I'm sorry. Charlotte beats Asuka. Speaking of 50-50 booking, can't get the shit straight. Charlotte beats Asuka, so we have our first official match for Hell in a Cell. Charlotte is going to get her title shot against Rhea Ripley. I said it on Twitter. I'll say it here. I'm a Charlotte guy, but I have not seen a more uninspiring women's division from WWE in a long time. Nobody really excites me except for Bianca, which makes sense because she's just getting her story going. But outside of that, it's kind of like you said, Asuka's now starting to take the back step into, the background or whatever. So now, obviously, you would have Charlotte and Rhea Ripley being in the forefront. On the SmackDown side, it's Sasha and Bayley. I shouldn't say Sasha and Bayley. It's Bianca and Bayley. Sasha's basically on the on-deck circle, whatever the case may be. Outside of that, there's really nobody to kind of look forward to. Oh, this person is, getting, on the rise or anything like that. I couldn't imagine a more, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say boring, but just uninspiring. It just comes back to that.
It's just milk toast,
Okay, so that being all said, do we have is this a red flag for Asuka at this point? Because now I'm feeling like she's being used in the reverse way she was coming up to this point. She was the champion, but she never had really good matches. Now she's not the champion. It feels like we're using her to get other people over. Rhea first, Charlotte here. Like Charlotte needs to get over, but do we need to be scared about Asuka?
I think we're in a fucking holding pattern until Becky comes back. That's what it feels like to me.
I've said that for quite some time, and I'm just not sure. I don't know if I want Becky to come back or not. I did put up the Twitter poll. I guess that was after Monday night. If we had to have one or the other come back, Becky Lynch or Ronda Rousey, who would you want to have come back? A whopping 78% said Becky Lynch. Take that for what it's worth.
Ronda's pregnant too now. So
Becky's coming off of having a baby. So it's not like it was going to happen tomorrow. I'm just saying if you had the choice, all things considered equal, who would you want back, Becky or Ronda?
I think Ronda brings more star power, more interest. Becky is a huge star. I think they're probably just waiting for fans because they want that big Becky pop, because otherwise, I imagine, she's a super athlete. She's back in shape, I'm sure. So
I would like to think so. At least, the baby weight coming off now, being in wrestling shape, that's something totally different. But hell, she could be wrestling right now or training, and we never know. We didn't know that Edge was training, and all of a sudden his ass pops up in the Royal Rumble and has one of the greatest moments in WWE history. So
yeah, I'm sure she's ready to go back. She's like a CrossFit, I think that's how her and Seth ended up hooking up together was, CrossFit Jesus and CrossFit Jonah Ark or whatever, they're just, that's their vibe. So I'm sure she looks just as good as she did, pre-baby.
That's
and,
funny.
but yeah, I just have to think they know they're going on the road. I think as soon as they get some fans in a stadium, Becky will come out and it'll really invigorate this women's division, and because you already have that history with Asuka, that history with Charlotte, I think Rhea versus Becky is a really good money match for sure.
Yeah, that's the only match that I'm willing to be interested in at this point. Everything else, not unless you're going to heat up and Liv Morgan or somebody like that, which clearly isn't going to happen.
Tony Storm or something.
Yeah,
Tony and Rhea.
Yeah, which doesn't feel like that's going to happen.
Bring up EO. Like, what's EO going to be doing?
That's the one that I was like, okay, this makes too much sense. She's had this long NXT run as women's champion. She's lost to Raquel Gonzalez. It's not like you want to have her come back again. So, I don't know. It just, Io Shirai feels like she's at least a missing piece in some form or fashion, of whether you want to have her coming back against Rhea Ripley right away or, somewhere down the line. Like I said, for me, there's a piece that's missing, and Io Shirai is that piece. That's just me.
I'm with you.
Okay, just last thought. Where did I see that? Not Ricochet, but AJ. Okay, see, this is what I was going to talk about. I wanted to save it for the odds and ends, but I'll get this bitching out of the way. So you had Jackson Riker versus AJ Styles in a singles match. And I kind of said it I guess either last week or 2 weeks ago, that I'm not a huge fan of how they're booking AJ. It's starting to feel like he's the weak link of the tag team champions, when we know goddamn good and well, Omos, as big as he is, he's the weak link. You're going to have AJ taking all the bumps, doing all the physical stuff, where Omos plays the role of Diesel or fill in the blank big person of choice.
Dude, if you would have told me a year ago that AJ Styles is going to be losing to Jackson Riker on a Monday night, I'd be like,
yeah,
no.
And I get the why. I get the why. It's to set up this tag team match, okay? But I will never forgive the fact that they broke up the Hurt Business for this bullshit. Granted, Cedric won this week over Cedric Benjamin. Cedric Alexander, that's funny. Over Shelton Benjamin. Okay, that's great. But goddamn it, you had honestly one of the hottest factions in the Hurt Business in general, and you broke them up for no apparent reason, and now we're back to having Jackson Riker beating AJ when AJ is arguably one of the best wrestlers in the whole goddamn world, but now he wants to take a step back, and now in this tag team, angle with Omos over here. Are AJ and Omos baby faces now?
Exactly. We're right back to it. Like, they should be, because that is the style of matches that they wrestle, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But, who knows?
Nikki Cross looked good. Looked like she dropped a lot of weight. Sheamus, Alberto, don't really care. Nia and Shayna lose their tag team. I'm surprised this was the main event, I guess, because you had the Alexa Bliss angle to go with it, but they lost their rematch for the tag team titles, where Reginald interferes again, costing Shayna the match, or at least a pinfall attempt on Natty. So you're going to get Reginald versus Shayna Baszler next week. I got nothing for this. Fuck this shit. We're moving on to the 3 count.
Moving on.
1, 2, 3. This is banned from ringside.
Well, he couldn't stay away too long, so we got William H. Bonney, a.k.a. Bill Vagey, on the line. William H., what's going on? Tell me something good.
It's I'm out here in the suburbs. All the seats in the back were wet, so I opened up the garage door, and I'm sitting in my lawn chair in my driveway with my dog right next to me, like a true suburbanite. I'm really...
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm really on a milk crate in my garage with the door open.
I'm the only one that's actually in, like, the place that they're residing in, because obviously because I have to have all the equipment and electricity, but... Yeah, you two motherfuckers out there, boy. God bless you. I mean...
Well, we're not that far away. We have electricity.
Okay.
I just be able to smoke cigarettes so my kids can't see me.
That's a good call. What you guys been talking about the whole time? How's the pod been going?
Oh, we didn't wreck the car too much. A couple of bumps and bruises here and there, but we talked about.
We spent about 45 minutes on who has the biggest dick in wrestling.
Oh, did you come up with Rene Dupree?
Yeah. My dog. I was getting ready to say, if you did not answer Rene Dupree, you are dead ass wrong. Just all things WWE. We broke down NXT, talked to a little main roster shit, and now we are here for the portion of the AEW pod. And obviously this week, because we moved AEW Dynamite to Friday instead of the usual Wednesday because of the NBA playoffs, we won't be talking about Dynamite until next week. So next week will be a loaded week of AEW talk when we talk about Dynamite.
2 sticks of Dynamite.
2 sticks of Dynamite when we talk about the Dynamite show itself, and then obviously review Double or Nothing. Now, speaking of Double or Nothing, obviously we have predictions coming up. But I took matters in my own hands just a little bit because I wasn't sure if Bill was going to be joining us for the prediction part. So I said to myself, Self, what's a way that we can shake things up a little differently? Since you're going to have control of the pod for this time around, I believe this is episode 208, chapter 3, verse 14, and the good smart sayeth, #boo the heels. It is all good, baby. I said to myself, let's reach out to one of the beefers, someone that listens to the show often enough that we can bring them in and have them a part of the prediction segment. So I reached out to Blood Girl Raven at Ravensblood 5250. So just in case you want to follow her from this point on, like I said, at Ravensblood 5250, you can follow her.
Follow.
She is a good follow, and she listens to the pod quite often, if not every week. So I reached out to her and I got her prediction. So now we are going to have
good wrestling analysis, occasional lesbian porn. Pretty great. That's like one of my top follows.
You ain't shit. So now we're going to have 4 people on this. So let's see if the listener is smarter than the experts. So
I think that I would call her an expert over me. I mean,
I was about to say, look, I was about to say anybody is experts over us. So let's make sure if I didn't check this, so I'm going to see if this is the right button.
Only thing I'm an expert at is ambidextrous jerking off.
No, it is not. Damn it! I see you ain't.
That's what they tell drummers to do to make a bedroom.
That was a great question for a
I
dinosaur.
did not know I'd be such a good drummer.
You're probably like fucking Dave Grohl or some shit.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, give me a second. I'm fucking this up. This is what happens when you don't have the right host here doing this job he's supposed to be doing. He's off big timing us for his relatives and his in-laws. I just wanted to throw that out there, by the way.
That's exactly what this is. He's big timing you.
You ain't big
Like
timing.
stay fly.
I have a lot of thoughts. Did you guys talk about Tyrion Kross versus Finn Balor?
We did.
Man.
Go ahead. No, speak on it.
It was a decent match. I didn't think it was as good as the first one. I think that the right guy went over. I'm still. I guess I'm still. Is Finn Balor going up? I mean,
that's I guess the $64,000 question. We don't know. I said yes. I read that Raw wanted to have him on the show for a while, but they just kept him in NXT.
Adjusted for inflation, it's like the $1.2 million question.
And the minimum wage is still $7.25.
Oh,
Indeed.
Jesus Christ Almighty. Okay. Any other thoughts you want to give on Balor versus Kross? I like the second match better myself, but that's just me.
No, I just enjoyed the match. I'm really interested in that triple threat match to see who's going to face Kross next.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't have guessed.
Well, it's not just because it's a triple. Wait, who is it? It's Kyle O'Reilly versus Dunn versus Gargano, right?
Right.
So I guess this will kind of tell us if he's a babyface or a heel.
You'd think.
But I mean, Kyle O'Reilly still wears a fedora, so I guess they're all kind of heels.
Oh, Jesus. Come on, man. Don't hate on the man because he's wearing a fedora, for Christ's sake.
John's breaking fingers and O'Reilly's breaking hearts.
All right, let me get this back on track. All right, so we're going to do the predictions for AEW. Like I said, I got Blood Girls predictions, so we are good to go there. So I guess let's start this thing off. Let's go with, hell, I can go anywhere I want to. We'll start with, yeah, just for this week. Let's start with the buy-in match. We have Rio versus Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's title. Two Beer, you're up. Who you got?
I am going to stick with Serena Deeb. I think she rules. Not that Rio doesn't rule, for a different reason. I don't know that Rio's, and I'm just like kind of going intellectually here, I don't know that Rio's back in the country for a long haul. I think she's in it for the big show, and I don't know that necessarily she's going to take this title. So I'm going to stick with Serena Deeb.
William H., who you got?
I'm going with Serena Deeb also. I think that Rio is a phenomenal talent. I just think that Serena Deeb is kind of money, and I would like to see more of her, to be honest. I think that she's a big-time talent. She can talk, and there'd be no reason to take it off of her at this time, so I'll go with Serena Deeb.
You said you want to see more of her and take it off of her in the same sentence.
You stole my line, you son of a bitch. Blood Girl Raven has Rio for the surprise win. I'm going with Serena Deeb. I think there is something to the Thunder Rosa match that we haven't seen, more bone or more meat on that bone, so to speak. I like Serena Deeb and Red Velvet, where Serena was looking, I would say, heelish versus being a heel like Blood Girl kind of corrected me on a little bit. So I'm going to go with Serena Deeb on this one. Like I said, I think there's more upside with her as the heel versus as the babyface, but we will find out.
See, Blood Girl already making for better pod.
See, I was getting ready to say, that's
Wait,
a good...
Blood?
No, she's got Rio. We all have Serena Deeb.
Well, then I'm changing my pick. I'm going to go with Rio.
Ain't this okay, man?
No, I'm kidding.
I was getting ready to say, you can't be just jumping all around changing picks and shit. Jesus Christ. Speaking of what, now I'm going to make you suffer for this. Next up, we're going to go Sting and Darby Allin versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. This is going to be a live match. Sting's first live match. We're assuming since he was injured with one Seth Rollins. I will let Blood Girl Raven go first. She has picked Sting and Darby Allin to win. Bill, who you got?
So I was thinking about this match earlier because I was thinking about that the big casino battle royale, and I was thinking, is Christian Cage is the favorite in this one, and then they got all these other wrestlers, but their move is kind of to bring in someone new, have somebody debut and win that match, which was Ethan Page last time, and they have done absolute fuck all with Ethan Page since he's gotten here. He's basically just been sitting up in the stands with Scorpio Sky. He's cut a couple promos, which were good, but he's a really fun wrestler. Sting is old as fuck. Darby Allin has only lost to Miro. He's only lost one time in the last fucking year or something. I gotta go Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page in this. There's just no reason for Sting and Darby Allin to go over unless they're really gonna WCW this shit up.
Oof. Two Beer, you gonna ride with your boy?
He's hitting me with logic, but I'm standing firm. I think this is Darby Allin selling the whole match, and then we get a hot tag. We get two Stinger splashes and a Scorpion Death Drop. That's my fantasy booking, so I'm going with Sting and Darby.
I'm not asking this of Zach. I would just be asking this of AEW, that if that's the case, then what's the point of bringing Ethan Page in at all? That's all. Go ahead, Jason.
Wow. Okay. Man. I'm just going to be smart. I'm going to take Sting and Darby. This is a live match. It's in front of people. It doesn't. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page as a tag team hasn't really made sense to begin with. I thought they left some money on the table with, at least having them jump SCU after they lost to the Bucks, or explaining why Scorpio Sky left SCU. I don't think that this is the end of the tag team with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, but I would be really surprised if Sting and Darby Allin didn't go over in a match where you have a live crowd. That's just me. Next up, we have, let's go Cody versus Anthony Ogogo. Anthony Ogogo apparently has come out to say he has a broken rib leading up to the match on Sunday. So, does that change anyone's pick in their mind? I will go first, so that way it gives you 30 seconds to think about it. For me, it doesn't change my pick. I had the pick going in. I'm sticking to it. It makes no sense in the world for Anthony Ogogo not to win. Cody at this point should be about putting guys over. He's got baby on the way, political aspirations going down the road, reaffirm the fact that he's not going after the AEW title, which I think is still bullshit, but that's another story for another time. I'm going with the upset. I'm taking Anthony Ogogo.
I'll go. I got Anthony Ogogo. I think Cody's going to make him look great. Not that I don't think that he necessarily needs help, but we just haven't seen him do much. But I think he's got really good star potential. And this is kind of, me picking Sting. I got to go with the younger guy on this side.
Bill, who you got?
All right, so there's two ways to think about this. One being that there's no reason for Cody to go over here because Anthony Ogogo is a guy that nobody had pretty much heard of until QT Marshall flipped heel about 6 weeks ago. And now he's in the match with Cody Rhodes on one of their biggest pay-per-views, probably their second biggest pay-per-view, right? That's an all-in. So, of course, Anthony Ogogo is going to go over, except Cody Rhodes cut that promo and said, instead of being the American Nightmare for this one time and one time only, he's going to be the American Dream. Is Cody going to say that he's going to be the American Dream and then lose?
The American Dream is dead. Like, literally and figuratively.
Ouch. Cold-blooded. Damn. Oh, my. Shots fired.
I don't even know what to say to that.
I'll say it. Shit, shots fired. God damn.
I'm taking Cody Rhodes. I can't. It's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like Finn Balor as the Demon. Like, the Demon never loses. If Cody's going to bust out the American Dream, I don't expect him to win. Sorry, I don't expect him to lose. I'm sorry. I'm going Cody Rhodes.
Okay, Blood Girl Raven is picking Anthony Ogogo, and I'll just read it off exactly how she read it because it's kind of funny, but I want to do that too because everybody else is giving analysis. Anthony Ogogo wins and punches all the shit out of Cody. Fuck him up. Cody can have his big return down the road. So everybody's got Cody minus Bill. He's taking the American Dream. Cody Rhodes, it makes sense to me. I don't have a problem with it, but that's why we're going to play this game on Sunday. We're going to find out who wins. Next up, we're going to have Brian Cage versus Adam Page. Easy for me to say. Obviously, Brian Cage with one of the bigger upsets so far in AEW, beating the number one ranked Adam Page at the time. Where now it hasn't done much for Brian Cage afterwards, but he has a chance to kind of double down, for lack of a better term, on that win. Two Beer, who you got?
What was the match? I'm sorry.
Page versus Cage.
Ooh, Paige versus Cage.
Not Diamond Dallas versus Christian.
Yeah.
Adam versus Brian.
Well, in that case, I'm going to have to change it to Paige. So, yeah, like, Hangman Page is just, I know kind of where he's at now, and, a lot of people poo-poo the Dark Order stuff and what's Adam Page doing, but, like, Adam Page is still young, he is still very much AEW kind of born and bred, right? Like, I mean, obviously ROH and New Japan kind of born, right? But like, there's a reason he was in that first title match for the AEW World Championship, and he will have that title, and he, in my opinion, should be the guy to take it off of Kenny Omega. So I'm going Adam Page. There's a little bump in the road for him. It will further the dissension between Brian Cage and Team Taz. So let's go Adam Page.
I'll pick for Blood Girl Raven. She also has Adam Page as well. Her notes, Adam Page gets his win back. Billy Vagey, who you got?
Yeah, I'm taking Page too. Brian Cage, yeah, like Zach said, Brian Cage showed, the themes we're showing within Team Taz, and I don't see I like the idea of Adam Page being the one to take it off of Omega. I don't know if it's going to happen, but for that reason, I'll take Adam Page.
We're going to make this a clean sweep. I'm going to take Hangman Adam Page as well. Easily, you can come back for the tiebreaker at a later point. Let's jump over to the women's division. We're going to have the women's title on the line. One, Hikaru Shida. Obviously, the longest-running AEW Women's Champion that we've had so far, even though it is in the pandemic era. The stats are the stats. The numbers are the numbers. Longest-reigning champion versus Britt Baker, the number one contender. I will go first. I've said it.
Just for the sake of brevity, real quick, is there anybody that's not taking Britt Baker?
I know I am. I'll go that far.
Zach's in a hurry, man.
No, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, I feel like this is kind of a foregone conclusion. Not that predictable is bad.
I would like to hear your reasoning for that, Zach. Why do you think everybody's going to take Britt Baker?
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, to me it seems obvious, and it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys watch Star Wars, like the new show, The Bad Batch, but there's a guy on there, one of the clones, his name's Tech, and kind of the trope with their group, they're like 4-man and 1-child group, is that they would be doing a lot better for themselves, but Tech is incredibly smart, and he just thinks that everything is obvious to everybody because it's obvious to him because he's like so smart. So like they'll be like running into this problem, and he's like, "Oh well, I never said anything because I thought this was obvious." Like it's just like that. Like this just seems obvious.
Well, I mean, Hikaru Shida. I mean, this could be a real character building moment for Shida, and also one for Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. So I don't think it's that obvious, but yeah, I'm taking Dr. Britt Baker, of course.
Well, Girl Raven takes Dr. Britt Baker, says it's her time now. Britt Baker's guaranteed the dub. I have to agree with it. Pittsburgh, Steelers, girl, true and true, so you got to ride together. Next up, let's jump to the tag team division. Bucks versus Mox and Eddie Kingston. Mox and Eddie Kingston earning their way to their tag team title match in a classic AEW fashion, beating Private Party, beating the Acclaimed last Wednesday to jump up to the top spot to challenge the Bucks. Eddie Kingston ripping the shoes off the Bucks' feet. Mox, not so much. I didn't know that Mox's theme song, Wild Thing, was his theme song back in the independent circuit, so I apologize for kind of shitting on that. That being said...
Oh, I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that until the other week. I guess it was in between last week's and this week's show. I found that out, so it makes a little sense. That said, I still like his original music first anyway. Bill, who you got? Bucks versus Mox and Kingston.
So the question for me here is, who needs the titles less? Because Moxley's a huge star, and he's still, pretty much to all the casual fans at least, he would probably be the most bankable star besides Jericho in AEW. But the Young Bucks, they're all over AEW and have been ever since. Still, though, I think Moxley and Kingston this is their first title match as a tag team, and I guess I can't see him taking it off the Bucks just yet. I'm going to take the Bucks. I might regret that.
Bill has the Bucks. I will pick for Blood Girl Raven with her notes as well. Bucks versus Mox and Kingston. Bucks win, but with major fuckery. I will double down on that. I couldn't agree anymore. The Bucks reign at this point has been fun to watch. It's been a heel turn of epic proportions, and it's been entertaining on top of it. But the one common denominator is that they don't win clean. I expect the Bucks to retain, but like Blood Girl Raven said, major fuckery involved. Two Beer, who you got?
I got the best tag team in wrestling history, the Young Bucks, but I am very, very excited to see this Styles clash because I think that the Young Bucks are going to show you once again why they are the best tag team in wrestling history, and they're going to show you a different match than you've seen before because you got these down and dirty brawlers, and they're not going to be able to do their flashy Young Bucks stuff. It's going to fail, and they're going to have to get dirty. So, yeah, like you said, fuckery, dirtiness, real heel shit. But this match is going to rule because it can't not rule.
I agree. I'm looking forward to this match quite a bit. Maybe the most of any on the show.
Yeah, I agree. I still think that the Royal Warriors being dug up for this match might have some implications, but that's another story for another time. Let's go to the Casino Battle Royale. So we're going to do two things here, boys. We're going to pick the winner, and you're going to pick who the Joker is as the surprise entrant. So I will let the lady go first on this one, and I'll read her notes verbatim. Christian Cage and Paul White will be the mystery entrant. He'll be doing commentary for the match, so I see him leaving the announcer's table and joining the match like JBL and Jerry Lawler did. So that is the question or the answer, however you want to form it. Do as you will. Let's start with Two Beer. We'll go with the winner and then who is the Joker.
Oh, man, I love that analysis. I love that so much. I do think I'm going to stick with the favorite just because of who I think the mystery person is. So I think the mystery person is Andrade, and we're already getting Kenny Omega and Andrade at Triple Mania.
You son of a
bitch.
bitch.
I don't see that happening in AEW. So even though I think he's the mystery person, I'm still going to go with Christian Cage because I think they can get a big TV rating whenever they move to Friday nights off of Cage and Omega.
William H.
Okay, I wish you would have gone with Blood Girl Raven last because then it doesn't sound like I'm just stealing from her. But excuse me, when I saw that Big Show was going to be the guest commentator on this match, I thought the exact same thing. He's going to Lawler it. He's going to come in. So I'm picking him as the wild card. I almost wish that, you know what? I'm just going to do what I thought I was going to do. I'm taking Evil Uno. No, I'm kidding around. I'm taking Chris.
I was like, what?
I was getting ready to fall over. I was like, you was getting ready to hear this big old cocoon.
I'm taking Preston Vance, guys. Preston Vance.
I almost just shit my pants.
I'm like, what in the wide world of sports is going on around here? So for the record, go ahead.
For the record, I'm taking Cage.
So you got Cage and Paul White, correct?
I got Cage and Paul White. When I look at this, I'm looking at all the wrestlers right now. There's a couple fun. There would be a few fun picks here to go against Omega if you think Omega is going to win. I think that Dustin Rhodes versus Kenny Omega would be a really fun match that has never happened, and I think that would be a banger, like on a Dynamite some night. Maybe not as a pay-per-view, and certainly not to have Dustin Rhodes go over. But man, I would love to see those guys wrestle. I would also like to see Jungle Boy versus Kenny Omega, but I'm going to stick with the chalk and I'll go with Christian Cage.
Okay. First off, I'm mad at Two Beer because I really thought that Andrade would be the name that nobody would bring up on this pod, and unfortunately I should have just went first and just beat you to the punch. But I agree with everything that you said. I would want to see maybe Daniel Bryan, a.k.a. Bryan Danielson, come out. I think that is an extremely long shot, so that would start to put the AEW Bryan Danielson rumors to rest. But Andrade makes a ton of sense, especially with their AAA match coming up. I'm going to go with Andrade as the surprise entrant, and I'm going to stick with the chalk with everybody else. Christian Cage just kind of makes sense here. I wouldn't mind seeing somebody else here, but ultimately, whoever has won this match hasn't really gone on to do anything of significance moving forward. Christian Cage would be put up against Kenny Omega, in my opinion, for the Kenny Omega storyline to be.
Who are the previous winners of this? Lance Archer was one, right? Brian Cage was one?
Cage, Archer,
Cage
Scorpio
was.
Sky.
There's only been 2 other ones. But there were other battle royales, but like the Double or Nothing one, it was Cage, and he was the first one.
Okay, all right.
So I guess,
I thought Jason was going to take Nick Comoroto.
hey man, don't sleep on Nick Comoroto. That motherfucker is like King Kong Brody. He'll be a bad motherfucker somewhere down the line.
I've never heard of this guy, and Jason's like, don't sleep on him. It's like,
Dude, I'm telling you, man. Hey, man, that's a big ass dude. All bullshit aside.
I'm getting a Nick Comoroto shirt now.
Okay, no, get a medium so I can wear it. Next up,
All right.
we have. Go ahead, Tubir.
I was just gonna say, it'd be a crop top for Bill.
Yeah, I know.
It'd be
Humble
a
brag.
crop top for me.
That's what I
I was
said.
going to say,
The medium is for me.
humble brag by Jason. Oh, I'll take a medium. It's like, I'll take a double XL.
No, I need to show off the guns, baby. I don't got much else.
Like, hey, make sure those condoms that you buy are Magnum so we can share that box.
Next up, we got the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle in the second edition of the Stadium Stampede. Now, MJF has come out to say that this is not going to be like the first, which kind of leads me to believe that this might be less comedy, more seriousness. It should, at least in this person's opinion, it should feel this way because this has led up to a serious blood feud where whether you believe Jericho is hurt or not, Jericho is hurt. Santana has been MIA up until, I guess, Friday night when he's supposed to come back. This feels like a blood feud. Stadium Stampede, I know you guys had this highly rated last year for the Beefers. I not so much, so I will start with you two, going with Bill first. Pinnacle, Inner Circle, who you got?
I think the Inner Circle has run its course now. I'm ready for Sammy Guevara to go on a singles run. I'm ready for Santana and Ortiz to get put into a meaningful tag feud. And I'm ready for Jericho to, take a hiatus. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I will take the Pinnacle.
Tubir, who you got?
I'm going to go kayfabe style and say the Inner Circle have experience in this match, where the Pinnacle do not have experience in such a large format. So I think the Inner Circle will take over the Pinnacle.
I'll go with Blood Girl Raven.
Shocking to me.
I'll go with Blood Girl Raven next. She's got the Pinnacle winning. It's time for the Inner Circle to break up, which I did not say. The loser of this match, the faction does have to break up. That being said, I
think it's just
Well,
the Inner Circle.
Is it the both? Is it the both? Like, I thought it was just the Inner Circle has to.
Yeah, I think it's just the Inner Circle.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, if the Inner Circle loses, I apologize. If the Inner Circle loses, they have to break up. I thought it was both. The stipulation ruled on both teams, but if the Inner Circle wins, they have to break up.
Yeah, MJF set the stamp.
Okay, now, that being said, I agree with everything that Bill just said. It's just that time. Sammy Guevara is ready to break out. Santana and Ortiz are the tag team that should be in the mix to beat the Bucks somewhere down the line. And Jake Hager's the only one I'm really, I would say, worried about. I'll just use that in quotes. You can put Jake Hager pretty much anywhere you want to. He should be okay. If he wants to do MMA, he can do that. Jericho's Jericho. I don't have I'm worried about him in the least. So I'm taking the Pinnacle to win, so that way we could have, for me, Sammy Guevara break out and be the next babyface superstar chasing down the Pinnacle as we move forward. which leaves us with the main event. For the AEW Championship, we have the Bill Vegas special. Kenny Omega, the AEW champion, versus Pac versus Orange Cassidy. So in usual BFR form, we are going to go least to most. Who has the least chance to win to who has the most chance to win. I'll start. It's interesting, but I can't see Kenny Omega going down in this fashion as much as I would love to see this happen somewhere down the line. I get why they're doing this, so I'm going to take Kenny. I'll go backwards. Least likely to win is probably going to be Orange Cassidy. I'm not sure. I think he's going to take the pin because I think you want to keep Pac versus Omega at I guess they're tied 1 win apiece. I believe there's a draw somewhere in the mix. So everybody's got a little something on the board. So I don't think that Pac's going to eat the pin. I think Orange Cassidy eats the pin, especially with the neck injury that he had going on. So I'm going to go Orange Cassidy with the least likely chance to win, Pac in the middle, and Kenny Omega retaining the AEW Championship. Bill Vegas, who you got?
I mean, I have the exact same thing. I think there's a 85% chance that Omega retains. I think there's a 14% chance that Pac can get in there, and I think there's a less than 1% chance that Orange Cassidy wins the belt here. I mean, he's a babyface. I can't imagine how mad even I would be as somebody who likes Orange Cassidy if Orange Cassidy won the belt. Like, I would be furious. Furious.
You'd be furious?
Furious if Orange Cassidy won the belt.
Furious. That doesn't sound like you're a big Orange Cassidy fan then.
I mean, I like Orange Cassidy just fine, but like Kenny Omega's the best in the world, or one of the best in the world, and Pac ain't far behind him. Pac ain't far behind him. Orange Cassidy, I'm sorry, he has no business in this match except to take the pin. I mean, I'm sure I trust all three of those guys to make a really fun match, but man, Orange Cassidy is not a heavyweight champion. He's just not. It's not a heavyweight champion gimmick. He's barely even a heavyweight, and it is not a top of the card gimmick. I would be mad. I mean, I was kind of joking when I say furious because
you talking yourself into a shoot over here, man. You gonna be all right?
You guys know me. I don't get very furious about very much. Shitty customers I get furious about.
Yeah.
When guys run through their signs at third base and run home and get thrown out.
I don't know what you're talking about, dog. Who does stupid shit like that?
When my wife leaves cabinets open, But other than that, I don't get really furious.
Dude, the cabinets thing, Jesus Christ. I feel like all I do as a human being, people are like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I fucking shut cabinets and turn off lights.
Right. That's
what I do for a living. Like, are we trying to heat the cupboard?
I don't get furious about very much. I mean, you should ask all the holes in my wall at the old house.
Oh, my God.
I'm going Cassidy, Pac, Omega, least the most.
Two Beer, you're up. Get us back on point. Defend Orange Cassidy, damn it.
I've got... I'm going to go a little bit opposite of you guys. I'm just going to go with... because, I don't think Omega's going to lose it anyway, so... we're going least to most. I'm going to go Pac, Orange Cassidy, Kenny Omega.
What would be the thinking, just for argument's sake, what would be the thinking behind Orange Cassidy winning the belt here?
All right, the only thing is that he's just so extremely over with the fans. That's the only thing.
Yeah, and they're in front of fans this time. Okay, all right.
And they're in front of fans, and if the whole thing is to move your business and move merchandise and sell tickets, Orange Cassidy's going to do that more than Pac. To an American audience, to a mainstream American audience. That's all.
Okay.
And I'll finish it off with Blood Girl Raven's pick. She has Kenny. I'll go backwards as usual. Pac as the least likely. Second likely is Orange Cassidy, and she has Kenny Omega retaining. So she has the same picks that Zach does. Interesting little picks that we have here, boys and girls. I will be interested to see what happens on Sunday. Go ahead. What match did we miss?
Miro Lance Archer.
I'm sorry, we did miss a match. I apologize. Miro Lance Archer. This is for
You almost wrecked the car.
I said there was going to be dents in it. I didn't say I was going to wreck the car. God damn. You expect this Joker to come back in one piece? Look at Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Lance Archer versus...
That did come back in one piece. It was just the camera got pissed off and kicked it.
Oh.
You're Cameron. I'm Ferris.
That's great.
When Cameron was in Egypt,
let my Cameron go. Miro versus Archer for Archer for the TNT title. I love this build. It's been a great build up to this point. Both guys doing really good work on social media, going back and forth with promos. I'll let Blood Girl Raven Girl first. She's taking Miro, her notes. No way that he loses the TNT title so soon, and this should be a big hoss fight. Sounds like she's expecting a banger. Two Beer, who you got?
I got Miro. It's too soon. Miro's got to be dominant here. Even though we talked about this, I think you can say, why did you book the match? I think that's a valid criticism, but I got Miro.
William H?
So I've been thinking about this one for the last couple hours because I really because it's why would you put him against Lance Archer? Why would you have him lose the match? I think that Lance Archer would make a better heel. I think that Miro would make a better face, and I'd rather see some fuckery. Now this is what I'd rather see. I'd rather see some fuckery and have Lance Archer go over and have Miro in chase mode. I don't think that that's going to happen, but against my better judgment, I'm going to take Lance Archer.
I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
I don't think it's going to happen, but when it happens, I want to sound like a genius.
Of course. Let's get ready to say, calling your shot. Ain't nobody mad about that. Babe Ruth did that shit all the time. I don't like the way that they've kind of booked themselves in this corner because you just have Miro getting the title, and now here comes Lance Archer, who I don't necessarily think he needs a title per se, but he needs to be looked at and kept as strong as humanly possible moving forward. A loss.
Look, I think that Miro. Sorry to cut you off. No. I think that Miro is such a fun babyface. He has tons of babyface potential. He's a gregarious, entertaining, funny guy, naturally, and Lance Archer is not. And I think that, nobody, and this goes back to WWE days, nobody has really capitalized off the Rusev Day stuff. And I would like to see him as a babyface, and you'll almost never hear me say that about any wrestler.
Okay, I'm good. I'm not saying I disagree with you on the babyface Miro potential. Obviously, Rusev Day was absolutely amazing. It was organic. It seemed like it was just, a kind of, WWE joke, and then all of a sudden it took on this whole new life and gave Rusev and Aiden English a whole new persona. It was one of the things to look forward to on the week-to-week basis. I'll give you that. However, I just don't see, unless you did a draw, is the only way I can see you getting out of this. Otherwise, you're going to have a winner. If you're going to have a winner, I just think it's going to be Miro at this point. But I agree with Blood Girl Raven on this. This is just going to be a hard-hitting, banger-ass match where these two are going to beat the shit out of each other for about 15 to 20 minutes, and it should be fun to watch. But like I said, unfortunately for Lance Archer, because I'm a huge Lance Archer guy, I'm going to have to pick Miro on this one.
Yep, looking forward to it.
Were you guys watching the pay-per-view on Sunday?
Well, what is it? Sunday, huh?
So Sunday is my wife's first baby shower. It's a baby shower just for friends. And I'm going golfing at 10 a.m. with 11 other guys. So,
God damn. You're going to come back a hot mess.
I will be watching the pay-per-view on my iPad on Monday afternoon, trying to hide from my wife while I nurse a hangover.
Yeah, good luck with that. Two Beer, where you watching the pay-per-view at?
Oh, even better?
I'm glad it's Sunday because Saturday was like booked up for me. I thought it was Saturday, but that makes sense because it's the Memorial Day thing. I work Sunday, but I'll be able to get off in time to watch like the second half of it, and then I'll try to catch the other half when I can.
All right, that's what's up. William H., thanks for jumping in, brother. I'm sure I'm sure it was hard to drag you away from the fam.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was real tough.
I know you did. I know how much you wanted to hang out and everything. So
I've been dying to go back inside.
No, I'm sure you are. So I'm going to say I didn't want to keep you any longer than we needed to.
Oh man, my in-laws are in town. I gotta get in there.
Yeah, right.
All right, have a good rest of the show. Peace out, guys.
All right, man. Be safe. That was Two Beer, or not Two Beer, but William H. God bless that dude. I almost feel bad for him for 30 seconds. I guess let's do some odds and ends real quick, and then we can get up off the spot. Tom Phillips released from the WWE today. Huge news in that sense, where Tom Phillips, obviously one of the key components of Raw and SmackDown color commentary. Apparently, I didn't even really think about this until recently, he's held all the color commentary spots for WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, and even Main Event. Kind of a big deal, especially when people were having him pegged to be the guy that was going to jump in for Adnan Virk after he and WWE mutually parted ways. It will be one Jimmy Smith that will be taking over the Raw duties on Monday night. He used to do, I believe, Bellator and UFC color commentary. Two Beer, thoughts on Tom Phillips getting the boot from WWE?
Super surprising because, I mean, he's like mini Michael Cole, right? I mean, but I thought he did like an excellent job even so. Like I thought he had a long time in the company because he was mini Michael Cole. And I thought that he had everything that WWE wants. You know, they got the whole Adnan Virk, he's out after 7 weeks. And then we got another guy that doesn't know anything about wrestling, going to be the main commentator on Raw. I don't understand it. I don't know what they want. I'm not going to try to figure it out. But Tom Phillips will land on his feet because he's a talented, good-looking guy.
I was kind of surprised by this, too, honestly, because once I heard Adnan Virk and WWE parted ways, this just kind of made sense that Tom Phillips, to me, would be the next guy in, especially a guy that's, like I said, done all the commentary for all their shows, has been with the company, I believe, for a decade, close to it, if not 10 years. It just felt like it was the right fit. Now, that said, I'm not familiar with Jimmy Smith, but I'm glad they at least got someone that has combat sport experience versus bringing somebody off the street that didn't have combat sport experience. You know, Adnan Virk is going to be fine. He'll go back to baseball or some sort of sport and jump back on his feet. I just thought it was kind of weird to have someone not affiliated with anything combat sports related to come in and try to do play-by-play on the longest running show in television history with somebody in his ear constantly telling him this is what you need to say. It just sounded like a bad fit to me, but neither here nor there. Good luck, Tom Phillips. About to say, like Two Beer said, he'll get back on his feet sooner versus later. Just keeping with WWE for a second, SummerSlam apparently is going to be on August 31st this year, or 21st this year. Those who don't have a calendar in front of them, that's on a Saturday night, which is unusual in the sense for WWE to have one of their big four on a Saturday night. If it stays that way, it will go up against an Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, big money title fight in boxing. Both would be coming from Las Vegas. Two Beer, you got a problem with not WrestleMania, but SummerSlam moving to Saturday instead of the usual Sunday night?
Not at all. I mean, like, it is interesting for WWE because they have chosen Sunday for a very long time. But I mean, I like the Saturday nights. I think it's kind of a more party atmosphere, especially for something like SummerSlam. It's easier to get people together on a Saturday. Sundays for AEW, like the Double or Nothing, it's a holiday weekend. A lot of people have Monday off. SummerSlam, Sunday night, that's going to be like a 6-hour goddamn show. If you want to get together, we're getting towards the end of the pandemic. People are getting vaccinated. They're moving out of their bubbles. If you're looking at pay-per-view buy rates, which WWE is not, but like if you're a business that relies on buy rates, Saturday's a good move because you can get more people around the television,
No, that makes sense. It just, for me, I'll just say it on a personal level. Not saying I'm going to go to SummerSlam, but SummerSlam is the only of the big four that I've yet to attend live, and that is on the bucket list. So I wish they would just fucking pick a date moving forward and stick to this goddamn date so I can plan a year around this shit so I can fly wherever I need to fucking fly to, and I can see this shit and get the fucking shirt and get it off the goddamn hit list. This is goddamn ridiculous how long I've had to wait to go see SummerSlam. It shouldn't take this hard. It shouldn't take this long, goddammit. Anyway, now that I've gotten that off my chest, let's talk a little New Japan for a little bit. Obviously, we talked about it last week where New Japan is being ravaged by the COVID pandemic, where we've lost at least Jay White for the meantime. Okada just came back. He's now ready to start wrestling. He's kind of thrown his name in to the ring for the next IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Whoever is going to get that, I guess. Here's my question to you, Two Beer. Who should be the champion, and how should we determine the champion itself? Should we do a tournament? Are we going to do, here's two guys, one match, get it over and done with? How are we going to determine the next IWGP champion?
I'll tell you what, we do not have a card for Osaka Joe Hall in June, and
Dominion is coming up.
It's the second biggest show. It is the SummerSlam or the Royal Rumble of New Japan. We don't have a card. Part of that's COVID. Part of that's just New Japan not releasing cards in advance because they want storylines to play out. But right now it's because it's like a disorganized mess. And I was just texting you guys earlier. It's crazy how cold of a product New Japan is, where it was like, I will not miss a show, even if it's those shows just packed with mixed man tags. I'm loving the excitement of the matches and the storylines. And now, I mean, part of it's COVID, but it's not all COVID. There's a lot of unrest, and I think if you're going to try to sell tickets to Osaka Joe Hall, which is a large venue, it ain't Kurikan Hall. You need to sell tickets. There's still a promotion. It doesn't have those big TV rights. They need to sell T-shirts. They need to sell tickets to make money to pay for these contracts. So you do like a 4-man, 8-man tournament. Whoever's healthy, you put them in the goddamn 8-man. You put it on the person that you think is going to draw you the most money, whether that's going back on Okada because he's a safe bet, whether that's going back to Ibushi because he's tried and true. Whatever it is, I can trust them to make that decision because they make good decisions about, whether it's Jay White, whoever it is. But something's got to give. We need a little excitement. We need a little spontaneity in this promotion.
I won't say that it's gotten stale or anything like that. I just think this is, a part of a bigger problem.
Not stale, just cold. It's just not. We don't have like these stories. I'm not invested in any story going on.
No, and I get it. Just because when you take away, the centerpiece, and in this case it's Will Ospreay, you take him away, you've left this kind of a void of what's next. Now you take away what's supposed to be the number 2 singles title and the Never title when Jay White gets COVID. Now you really got a void of what's going on. The tag team division isn't necessarily that great. The juniors are good, especially with Best of Super Juniors, but I mean they don't lean on them that much. So this was I get what you're saying, and watching, I guess, the Wrestling Grand Slam 3-day shows, they weren't great shows, but they were at least good enough to keep storylines going. Where now, LIJ looks like they're going to go after the never six-man titles. Not necessarily a huge fan of that, but Ishii versus Naito.
Who's in that bunch? Like who are the three?
The Chaos team. The Chaos team is obviously Goto, Yoshihashi, and Ishii. The LIJ team is Naito, Sonata, and Bushi. Naito and
okay, well at least Shingo's not in there because I would say I left him off. Like he just came off of that like match of the year with Ospreay. Like, and if you're gonna take risks, I mean last year we were in COVID, we took a risk, we put it on Evil. If you're gonna take a risk, and I don't even think this is a risk.
No.
Like you could put that thing on Shingo and watch him just
start cranking out some good matches. Yeah, for sure. I kind of agree with you on the sense of I kind of lean towards a tournament, whether it's 4 or 8 men, just, pick the guys that Okada, Shingo, obviously, I think are 2 of those guys. Now, from there, it would just depend on health and what the storylines are going moving forward. Jay White, Ibushi, Jeff Cobb, there's 3 more names right there. So you at least got a 4-man tournament right there. If you can find 3 more guys, you could do 8, and then you can maybe do it, over a course of a couple weeks. Or if you did a 4-man tournament, you could do it like they did when they did Wrestle Kingdom a couple years ago. Well, this year or whatever the case may be. You got essentially 2 title matches, and then the winners of those matches face off, and then you have an ultimate winner or whatever the case may be. You can go that route. I'm not too concerned with New Japan. It would be different. Like WWE's problems aren't necessarily talent problems. They've got a talented roster, but
Well, WWE is financially idiot-proof, whereas
for sure.
I'm worried because like they require ticket sales and merchandise sales to make money to pay these contracts. So like I just worry about the solubility of my favorite wrestling promotion. Like it just seems backwards that WWE has literally billions of dollars and they consistently put out the worst wrestling product. Whereas, New Japan is like now struggling. It's just so dumb.
No, I can't say I too far disagree with that, but I'm not going to give up just yet. I got confidence that Gato and the company will right this ship, get some of these guys back, start putting together some good angles and, finish the back year of 2021 the strongest humanly possible. But like I said, first things first, they got to get some of this talent back. Okay, that's going to be it. I'm done. About to say my voice is not necessarily cracking, but it's about that time to let Zach go do his family duty. So that being said, for the departing Bill Vagey, for Two Beer Zach Pullman, for Blood Girl Raven at Raven's Blood 5250, go check her out. Give her a follow on Twitter. That would be worth your while. For Vice, thank you for the AKA this week. That's my dog. You come through as usual. For your boy, JCB, support your local drug dealers, support your local restaurants, support your local businesses, and everybody, boo the heels! Boo, bitches.